ideas that come from entrepreneurs are usually to solve their own problem. You know, founder of IKEA, he bought like a big table and he couldn't fit it in the car, so he
That's hilarious.
unscrewed it and thought like, wow, that would be amazing to. And then everybody knows IKEA. Or GoPro founder was surfing in Bali. He couldn't do a selfie, and then he invented the GoPro. I believe the network is network. My LinkedIn profile it says super connect. Connecting people is a very interesting thing because
Let's just take a breath and just set our intention before we dive in. May this podcast be an absolute blessing for people that watch it. May we have a ton of fun filming it. And may we connect on a deeper level, Prem and I. Cool. All right, brother. How are you?
Hey, so good.
It's great to be with you, dog.
Great to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, this is a really cool space for me to be in Ubud, Bali, and to have met you here. And you're very much to me what Ubud represents in a lot of ways, and what spirituality, entrepreneurship represents. You're a very interesting man.
Thank you very much.
That's why I wanted to have you here. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, Ubudian.
You're full Ubudian. You got the mushroom shirt on. You know, you're looking great, dog. Looking great.
Thank you. You too. Yeah. We're in Ubud in Eden Estate.
Yes, Eden Estate.
One of my favorite places here in Ubud, just to chill and connect with people.
Yes.
Enjoy the nature.
Yes. And connecting with people is a lot of what you do in your work, and so I'd love for you to maybe share with people listening a little bit about who you are and the work that you do today, because it's very much about connecting with people. I see you as a connector, a very powerful connector. So maybe you could share with the audience kind of who you are and what you do.
Well, on my LinkedIn profile it says super connector.
Does it? Yeah, that makes sense.
Connecting people is a very interesting thing because I believe the network is network. How many people we know and how we manage our network, and then how we connect with people. It gives us this network of
Yes.
what we can do in life.
Yes.
I think it takes a village to do something. It takes a community.
Yes.
So yeah, I've been building communities all my life.
Yes.
And at the moment, I'm still working with some of these communities. So it's good to also do community engagements, like events. This is
Yes.
something I really love to do. Run events, whether that's like with entrepreneurs, with artists, with different from fun entertainment to spiritual events, really.
Yes.
It fills my boat.
Yeah.
It fills my soul.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. I want to get a little bit into some tactical things a little bit later about how to network with people. I meet a lot of people that they want to make more connections and they want to grow. And I find with a lot of entrepreneurs, funny enough, there's an overvaluation I find on the work and like being in their like bubble of focus, and not enough value, in my opinion, on connecting with others and serving others and being in community and relationship. It's very much like this sort of just like push with me and my laptop. I see it with so many people. So I want to get into some tactical things later, but I want to first dive into something a bit more personal to you, which is why you have this desire to connect. Now, we all have a desire to connect as part of our nature, but you're a super connector, like your LinkedIn profile says. And I'm curious, you're a guy who's done lots of self-reflection. If you thought about why it is that you just love people so much and want to connect and want to put yourself out there and bring people together.
Well, it started for me where it wasn't that easy to connect to people. I had to
Yes.
like break the ice, Sometimes I'm introvert, sometimes I'm extrovert. I heard there are like different things in between as well.
Right, yeah.
So if one is an introvert, then if they connect with a lot of people, they can feel drained of the energy. And if you're an extrovert, then you will feel you're kind of gaining the energy the more people you connect with. So for me, connection is really important because this is how I learn, how I grow. And for some reason, two of us have met, right? And then there is some sort of karma, some sort of cosmic thing to be done. And who knows, maybe some business or a podcast, like we were saying now, right?
Yes.
Yes. So that's like the first thing that I had to overcome, and I believe still that if we overcome that, any fear of stepping out of your comfort zone or anything that might stop us for achieving that goal of meeting people or getting out there, I think if you have any goals in your life, it's mostly external, right? You get to
Yes.
meet people, even with internal
Yes.
things. Like for example, for a relationship, lovership, business relationship as well. It's kind of things come out of our shadows that we didn't even know existed
Totally.
because some people trigger us or activate something in us.
Right.
Um, and in some cases, it's really good.
Yes.
People inspired us, and I like to believe that we our mindset, even physiology, is based on these five people that we spend most time with.
Man, it's so facts.
And the science says that there's this thing called neural mirroring,
Fuck yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because we can mimic each other subconsciously, and that's like
Yes.
95% of the time
Yeah.
we do this. 95% of the time every
Crazy.
day, right?
Yes.
And the decisions we make as well determines who do we meet, and mostly how we are programmed at the
Yes.
early age of our lives.
Yes.
But yeah, so you want to spend time with quality people, people that, let's say, have made it,
Yes.
or they're successful in what you perceive as success.
Yes.
Then you'll kind of get a bit of their magic too, which is good.
True.
It's so inspiring. So that's what I believe. The more people we meet, and the more people we want to spend time with, it's good. And also going out of the comfort zone, being with these people,
Yeah.
asking for their needs.
Yes.
Also doing that is so important.
And can be scary for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, but I believe I'm the optimist. I believe there's always a way out, no matter how hard it gets, how scary it gets.
Mm.
Um, Never give up.
Mm.
I know there's always a way to every situation.
Yes. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, bam.
Bam, bam.
Bam, dog. You're already dropping fire on this one. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So you talked about a couple things I want to touch on here. The first one is I think that most people that are in the personal development space, they know you get around some better people, but I'm not sure that they know really the power of it. I think that there's like I think I've seen in myself stages of really getting core concepts. Like there's like a beginning stage of understanding a concept, and you get a little bit deeper and you start to really get it, and then you really can get something. And I've just learned that when I get around better people, things start to stick to me. There's an energetic and nonverbal transmission that can occur, and it's super powerful. So let's take a moment then, and for the people that are listening that are like, I know I need to get around better people. Like I see my friends, they're just constantly partying, or they're so full of ego and external validation, and or they're not really getting after things, and I really want to get after it. I really want to make my life work. What are some internal, so like things that we may need to work with within ourselves, like valuing ourselves, knowing our value, being service oriented, for example, internal things, and then external things like actual strategy to get into those environments. Like how do we actually get around better people? How do we actually do this for the person out there who knows they need it, but is like, how do I actually create those relationships? What would you say to them?
I mean, we have so many good tools these days with the internet and connections over LinkedIn, Instagram, and many other platforms. Then we have AI. I mean,
Yeah.
I use AI for many different
You're huge in
things.
AI, which I love.
I've been for many, many years,
Yeah.
and I know people that are really leveraging AI in interesting ways.
Yes.
It's like how they can overcome any blockages or fears to go out to find people, and then
Yes.
to implement these routines and habits, they're healthy habits, atomic habits that actually
Yes.
makes us step out. Because I see us human beings as like programs that run on autopilot most of the time, right?
Yeah.
So if we manage to reprogram it by having healthy habits inspired by these people, successful people that we want to meet or be like, then we have something to go towards it. And that pain of changing the habits, forming the habits,
Yes.
or like it's something that inspires us. It's like same thing within entrepreneurship. A lot of
Yeah.
ideas that come from entrepreneurs are usually to solve their own problems. With
Right.
many,
Yeah, right.
many great cases. Like,
Yeah.
founder of IKEA, he bought like a big
Ah.
table and he couldn't fit it in the car, so he
That's hilarious.
unscrewed it and thought like, wow, that would be amazing to. And then everybody knows IKEA. Or GoPro founder was surfing in Bali,
Oh, really?
and then he couldn't do a selfie, and then he invented the GoPro,
I
and
love it.
and this passion actually made them go through this tough road of roller coaster of entrepreneurship because it's not easy.
Yeah,
Entrepreneurship is not necessarily easy in many
I would
ways,
agree with that.
and maybe some people have like a easy journey, which is I'm glad for them.
I'm
But
glad for
it's
them.
most cases like you go ups and downs,
I can't
especially if
relate.
you want to make it big, and
Yeah,
it's
right.
a sometimes it's tough. It's hard to also make this life work balance. People burn out because you have to grind, um, and you have to work with a lot of people, a lot of competition, and like there's many obstacles. As if we see them as the obstacles, with this passion, we just go through it,
Yeah.
like with anything in life. So that passion is crucial. What entrepreneurs have,
Hmm.
we might have, and we might just find in these inspiring people we meet,
Yes.
and that's kind
Yes.
of there are gurus in a way, all of them.
Yeah.
They inspire us. They have this little sparkle of fire inside. It's like burning a bit stronger, and then it's just. I love meeting people like that, and when
Yes.
I do my best to kind of stay in touch with them. So practical advice, I try to check in with the
Check in.
Vice network now and then.
Do you have like an Excel sheet where you keep people and like just to remind yourself or reminders? How do you? Or you just remember naturally?
Sheets.
Sheets. You use sheets.
Well, yeah, no, sheets like plural. But
Yeah.
if it's like a business related, then LinkedIn, and then there's like these um, medias that I use for different reasons, and then these medias go up and down. I have friends on all social media platforms, but I also have my Rolodex. That's
Yeah.
always good to
I agree.
do, and to meet in person. I think there's something else happens when we meet in person, when we sit like this.
What do you think makes it different? I've thought a lot about the specialness of in-person connection. As you know, I run retreats, but I also do most of my clients that I have are online. Yeah, they're amazing, and there's a specialness to that in-person atmosphere, vibe, the rawness, the aliveness that's there, that I don't find the same with online clients. There's just something else that's in person. What do you think that's all about? Why do you think it's so special to be in person?
I think it's great to have online clients like
I
you're
agree
doing.
very much.
And then they eventually gonna funnel into this
Yes.
one-on-one session in person, which is super powerful.
Yes.
I've heard people doing like all sorts of telepathy and psychic things, which
Yeah.
is possible, and science
Oh,
is now
totally.
proving that.
Yeah, totally.
But what I believe where real magic happens is where we meet in people, in person,
In person.
with people,
Yeah.
and especially in these retreats. So there's a set and setting
Yeah.
that's crucial. So we come into these beautiful settings now. We are now sitting in Bali. It's super lush. It's tranquil. It's peaceful.
Yes.
We get to connect with ourselves and with our. And then retreats. I love retreats, and I've been working in retreats and wellness industry for a while
Pretty
now,
long time,
bringing,
right?
yeah, bringing also, founders who are burned out or successful people who just, made their money, but they're not in some way, or they people even with trauma, or but my thing is mostly how to find expansion from that, how to
Yes.
be creative and innovative in these places when we gather, and it's important which places to go. And I've been doing
Yes.
retreats in Jamaica, in Costa Rica,
Yeah.
Netherlands, UK, and now if I may do a shameless plug, I'm just doing 2 retreats
Yes, please.
at the
Yes.
moment, and one is it's a partnership with Six Senses, which is very luxurious chain of hotels and then
Yes.
wellness spas around the world. And one is in November 2025 in Fiji Islands, focusing on
Cool.
in Fiji on sustainability. We're gonna dive into the corals, but dive in also deep within us to work on with change maker, with investors, with entrepreneurs, and impact stuff. And we're also doing like sort of like a Burning Man, luxury Burning Man
Love it.
in Saudi and Red Sea, where they have amazing projects with trillions of dollars building the whole new cities in deserts,
Yeah.
and also something very exclusive and luxurious in the Red Sea with like Maldives type of spaceships on the water.
So cool.
So you can bridge these things that are really beautiful to witness on this planet. Just like absolutely dreamlike
Just mind-blowing, hey?
places. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you get people together there, epic people that
Yes.
want to change themselves, want to change the world in a
Yeah.
better way.
Yeah.
And then when we meet, that then where the power happens. I believe when we pull a group together, it's even more magic than when just two people meet
Yes.
on the same occasion. And that's why communitas and communities is
Yes.
what I stand for. I believe communities, if you want to build a company or you want to build a band, you need a community. That's the
Yeah.
main thing
Uh-huh.
to do. If you want to do a podcast, build a community.
Yeah, 1,000%. And by the way, that for everyone listening, that's a very practical thing you can do is go to a retreat like this, where you meet people from all different parts of the world. Like,
Yeah, just come to my retreat.
just come to his retreat; it'll solve all your problems. But
Not really, but yeah.
not
maybe.
really. But you could solve some big problems there if you're doing inner
Right.
work and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But that is an example. Retreats are a great example of how to meet people. Now they cost some money, and so that you have to pony up to go to a retreat. However, you take back insights, energy, and I find this something interesting. When I was studying flow states, one thing that really stood out
Love
to me,
flow states.
the best, they're literally the best. One thing that really stood out to me was how getting in really powerful environments produce flow. Getting in environments where maybe there's nature or there's some really cool art around you, something that can create some variety or some novelty in the brain. That spoke to me so much, and I found that when I would have these inspired hits or these great ideas, it was so often either in some cool environment with me in a book or just writing or with some music walking in a different environment or with an interesting person. And so in a retreat like this, you kind of combine both of those. And being in Bali, I've met cool people like yourself and tons of other cool people that are in Bali. And I'm just thinking, like, man, where I grew up, it's not like this. Like, you can't just walk into a cafe where I'm from and likely meet a really cool person like this. You may, but it's very unlikely. And so I think retreats and other events are a great space that like are kind of magnets, like hubs, magnets for really cool people, for flow, for new ideas. And it's like those are the places to go if you really want to expand. So I also believe in that. But I want to come back now because that's an external.
Oh, you touched the flow, man.
I know. I touched the flow. We'll circle back. We'll circle back if you want. But so that's an external thing that can really help someone meet new people and create better relationships. But let's talk about the internal game, the inner game of creating relationships. And I'd love to relay this to your story. I can relate to having social anxiety and just like literally like shaking being around new people, like just afraid of rejection. And overcoming that's been a beautiful journey. But I've realized there's an inner game to meeting people. There has to be certain shifts you have to make, likely, to be able to do this. So what are the shifts you made, and what do you find is the crux, the meat and potatoes of the inner game, the inner shifts people need to have to really meet people, to really connect, and to create magical relationships? What do you think?
What is the whole like universe inside? I think when we talk about this inner work, I believe we can only connect with others as deep as we can connect to ourselves. That's kind of what I believe. So I saw how I overcome social anxiety, and I always do. It's still present. It's just
I understand. For me too. For me
it's,
too.
it's just a different relationship I have with that part of me.
Yeah.
And when I
100%.
say part, and this is something I'm gonna say it's not maybe gonna work for everybody, but in a way we are all kind of made of these different parts.
Sure.
And that's like I'm gonna quote Dr. Dick Schwartz, my good
Yes.
friend from Internal Family
Yes.
System, a psychotherapeutic
Yes.
model that's speaks a lot about this, and it's
Yes.
very popular and effective.
Yes.
So
Agreed.
yeah,
IFS, by the way, for everyone watching, Internal Family Systems, IFS.
IFS, yeah, amazing model that explains basically that we're these parts of we're even our ego is construct of all these parts, and we are multiple personalities, and that social anxiety or whatever inner critic or person within us is trying to protect us from some sort of trauma or
Yes.
experience, not
Yes.
necessarily trauma, but experience that we have and
Yes.
have a relationship to that experience.
Yes.
So idea is that how I overcome some of these parts and I befriend them.
Yes.
I notice them, I give compassion, curiosity, and I understand why they're here in a
Yes.
way, why they're protecting me for going out to
Yes.
people and maybe embarrassing myself or
Yes.
getting close to people so I can maybe lose that love or not receive love,
Yes.
whatever it is. It's
Yes.
mostly comes from like when we were very young, and it's to do with love in most cases.
Yeah, so true.
Um,
Almost always.
yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. So I figured out once I opened this Pandora box that there are many of these parts. So
Yeah.
the way to work with them, it's internal, of course, and it's also external.
Yes.
When we make friends with these parts, we understand why they're doing what they're doing and
Yes.
what's their original role. It's interesting. So, for example, inner critic that would always tells us, it's like, shouldn't be doing that. You're not doing that good enough. Its actual original role is to be an inner cheerleader,
Oh
to
wow.
support us, to give us that extra fuel.
Wow.
So all these parts are actually originally when we were born, they were an ecosystem that just puts us in a baby bliss. We're just like
Yeah.
in total bliss,
Wow.
and we can do many things. It's like an absolute magic. So idea for me is to convert those parts to work for us, not against us, not to protect us, because they're in a way good. They just don't know the best way how to support us. So social anxiety is one of them. And once I worked with myself on social anxiety, then I stepped into the real practice of meeting and talking to people,
Yes.
finding compassion, trying to listen,
Yes.
trying to learn communication skills,
Yes.
non-conflict resolutions, and many things that actually I was like started walking then. I was like baby before that, and
Yes.
now I started walking, and
Yes.
then I really connected with people differently on a whole new level, which
Wow.
is really amazing. So,
And that was probably really rewarding for you. It felt really good to connect with people and probably inspired you to keep doing the work. Is that fair to say?
well, of course, I mean it's like something completely different than our mind can even comprehend.
Right. Right.
So it's like I didn't know. So imagine like a caterpillar and a butterfly. Caterpillar doesn't know it's going to be a butterfly, and then it just becomes a butterfly in something completely
Holy
different,
fuck!
right?
This is amazing.
Yeah, and but when you have these two butterflies connecting, then that's where the magic happens. So
Right.
it's kind of expands. So
Right.
in a way, I believe that there's this magnetism that whatever we state are in, we attract and magnetize people of the same thing. So maybe some people are talking about abundance. You should be in this state, and then you'll attract. There's some truth in that too,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I just believe the level of consciousness that we're going to attract things and literally a different reality around us and different people with a similar thing. And once we do, it's like some Buddhists like to say, is they said like a Buddha field. So we connect our Buddha fields together and we chat about things, and then things start to expand even more. And that's like really being in a conscious community, what's very popular in Bali and around the world.
Yes.
And when you apply this to business and the normal life things, where it's usually like networking is very fast, very superficial.
Yes. That's what most
very,
people think of when they think of
yeah,
networking.
in
Yeah.
business even,
Right.
and it's like it's too woo woo and stuff. But now because science is doing a lot of things to prove that some of these things actually are true. People
Right.
feel better, and they measure different KPIs. They measure different
Yeah.
things.
Get
So
some science around it now. Hey?
science around, yeah.
So now the business guys are sold. A lot of them, anyways. It's very common.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way how I see the inner work and the outer
Yes.
work. It's like combination of those.
So I love that, and I'll share with you so I have a 3-step process that I use in my work, and it's very simple, and it's pretty much exactly what you just said. The first step is awareness. The second step I call practice inside, and the third step I call practice outside.
Amazing.
So you get aware of, holy shit, I do have social anxiety. There is a part of me that's really scared. And then you learn how to do the inner work. And it's funny, when you say befriend the inner critic, so 95% of the clients I've worked with in the last year, we've worked with an inner critic because it's just very
It's
prevalent.
most common in this case.
Yeah. I rarely meet someone who is like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's very common. And it's the hardest one I've realized for the guys I've worked with to befriend. And when you say befriend your inner critic, I know there's going to be a response from the mind because I've heard it so many times. I can't or I don't want to, and that's obviously another part. But I found that what you said, I want to really give this because I know it's going to be a big insight, is curiosity, or like work with where you're at is what I'm saying. It sometimes can be too much to befriend something right away. When you practice like you and I have, you can befriend a part very easily because you practice it, you have a lot of self energy, you have a lot of presence power, you've built relationships with your inner system. But when you first start, you're like, I don't want to befriend this inner critic. This guy's been beating me for so long, I don't want to befriend him. But you can start with, why is this inner critic? So I want
Curiosity.
Curiosity is a great gateway, I want to say, for everyone who wants to get into this work. Then the last step is practice outside. So this is like where you got to face some fears, where you got to get, it's easy when you're doing IFS in your room by yourself, but now you got to go to the dinner party and like breathe into your diaphragm when you're feeling anxious in your chest. And you got to like speak and be yourself. So I think those steps are super powerful, and it's a good syntax of how to do the work. And for different people, that's a longer process. For some people, that from awareness, like the conception of I have anxiety, to the practice where you get good enough where you actually feel confident to make relationships, sometimes that can be like 5 years, but sometimes that can be 5 months or maybe even 5 weeks. So when you've talked to tons of people and you've had your own experience with social anxiety, what do you find is like the key thing, if you had to say a key thing, that blocks people from really being able to connect and bridge my heart with your heart, and that, like, what I'm talking about, Prem, that moment when there's like that resonance or that rapport that's built on the deep level? Like, what do you find is the biggest block to creating that?
I think it's just the fear of something. It's usually a fear-based decision that these protectors or managers are managing our lives. So yeah, there are layers. I believe there's like a manager
Yes.
that manages, like, that analyzes everything, and then there are these protectors like inner critic. So when one is not
that's interesting.
working,
Okay.
when one is not working, let's say, then the next super protector comes in. So there's like after inner critic, there's like an anger
Yes.
or addiction, and it can go even to the worst, to the suicide and things. And these are
Yes.
usually a part that protects us.
And you view them as layers. Like there's like maybe like the really responsible manager,
Yeah.
then maybe there's the inner critic. Then if that doesn't work, maybe then there's the addiction. And if that
then
doesn't work, maybe suicide.
Yeah, firefighters, super protectors.
Yeah, okay.
It's like what they call onion layers.
Oh, the
Onion layers.
Onion
So
layers.
you
Onion
peel
layers.
these onion layers, and then
Yes.
we find things. The first time I did it, I remember it was really weird to understand that there is like, even though we always hear our inner chatter, well, sometimes we hear our inner chatter. This is what default mode network is for most of the people. But it's really weird when you face these parts of you, and they're like parts of you inside you.
Yes.
It's like, wow, it's like weird. And there all of a sudden, there are many of them, yeah? And then somehow we tend to show curiosity. It's actually, there is 8 C's that Dick Schwartz explains in his books about internal founding systems. There's creativity, there's courage, which is really, really important.
Massive,
to have
I agree.
courage to do that. And and what Buddha said is like, there is this way through enlightenment is through suffering, through going through that uncomfort zone.
Yes.
And it's also, you mentioned flow. I'm just gonna slightly put it in.
Yeah.
One of the 18 main precursors to the flow state, and those neurochemicals are going through that fear state.
Right.
It's like, you can do a cold shower and you're gonna get like a little bit of those neurochemical reactions to kind of get you in, and there's like many things that unlock some as like kind of a word when we go beyond that limit, that what we believe. And it's like when you go to the gym and then you push like harder and harder,
Yes.
and then just something happens. It doesn't happen straight away though. It might not
Okay.
happen for months. It might not be visible. But then after 3 months or 6 months, you'll even forget about that you ever had social anxiety.
Right.
And where was that part now? It's like, actually, it's the one that pushes you through. When you see like a beautiful woman or like someone that you really admire and it's your idol, you just go for it. You don't have like, oh, what will they think? I'm going to embarrass myself.
Yeah.
You actually started thinking, it's like, I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to,
Yeah.
I'm going to get him as my mentor. I'm going to get him as my investor,
Yeah.
or my friend.
Oof.
And then that's where it's actually, yeah, it's like we get to go through these tough times,
Yes.
tough things that at the end is not that tough or it's not that scary
Yes.
when we go through it. So this is the planet, and I think our lives is the lessons to learn from that.
Yes.
Just going through that and really having this way, always obey, never giving up, and just like really being kind and compassionate to others as we are compassionate and kind to ourselves.
Yes.
And I think life gets much more beautiful when we go through those things, get rid of those
Yes.
things that are in the way. And I always believe whatever is in the way is the way. So it
I love
comes to
that.
you, and you just go through it. You just
That's
face
amazing.
it. And at the end, like most of the fears I had, and I still having now and then, I just face them, and they're not that scary. You know what
1000%.
feeds those things are our fears.
Yes.
So we can yeah, we can hide as a rabbit and dig our ditch philosophy. You know what Americans
Right.
say.
Right.
You're
Right.
just
Right.
digging your own ditch, or you can just like free yourself and
Yeah.
face whatever is meant for us.
You're getting me so fired up over here.
Yeah.
I love this. Like this is everything in some ways to me.
And nothing.
And nothing. I mean, now we're getting like super deep, but yeah, that's one thing too. Is like there's so much like conversation and talk, and sometimes like we're talking, we read books, and we share with people, and sometimes I just want people just to experience just like total silence and no thought. I want people to really feel just like present and fully connected to their surroundings. And in some ways, sometimes I feel like that is the most healing. Like not some journaling exercise, not some breathwork session, but just literally being so present with just what's true in the moment, what you feel, what you can touch, what you
Right.
can feel, experience in your environment. So, anyways, I really want people to feel that. But I love that you touched on fear. I want to go a little bit into things you've been afraid of, and what you also have coming up in the future. I wanted to take some time for that.
Cool.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger has a quote that I love about this. He says, "Everyone's afraid to jump, but they don't realize they're only 6 inches off the ground."
Yeah.
And I find that to be so true about fear. It's like I feel like you feel like you're jumping off a building, and you do it, like it's only 6 inches. Like it's not as scary as we build it up in our minds to be. No matter what it is, whether it's approaching the girl or the business connection or whatever it may be, taking the risk, the investment, or whatever. But I digress. I want to go into some things that you have coming up in the future. Where is your head at right now, and what do you think is the most important focus for a business person right now to have? Should they be focusing a lot on relationships? Should they focus on learning AI? What should they be really focused on in today's world? And what are you focused on, say, in the coming couple years for what you want to create?
Well, having that couple of years written down is one thing, definitely.
Yes.
Good.
Do you do that? You look at a couple years and you make a plan?
Oh yeah, I do with the clients, and I did this first for retreats, people, just regular retreat participants, and then I started working with business people. Is like really quieting our mind. What you said is so important. It's like the way through.
Yeah.
To quiet our mind first, and then to kind of really let our imagination run freely and widely as possible with no limits whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then we envision that future for the next 5 years, and it's like it's limitless. And in a way, a lot of people that come to me and ask me like, I want you to do this for me. I was like, are you sure? I was like, okay. And then we do this exercise where they go wild in the mind, then they draw it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And then they explain, it's like, so do you want me to do for you what you originally asked me, or you want this? It's like, yeah, I want this.
Yeah, I want
this
this
is
one.
what they originally asked me is like maybe something to a step closer to where actually what they draw on that paper.
Yeah.
So we do reverse engineering, and we think
Yes.
about how we can like bring that vision
Practical
back
strategy.
step by step,
Yeah.
closer to something realistic, to a
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
And then if you use some tools for that plan, that's really, really impactful. And
Yes.
I believe that AI is one of the, I guess, most advanced technologies and important innovations, advances in our lifetime.
Uh-huh.
And it's just changing so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those technologies that's gonna even make you or break you.
Yeah.
You know, people
People
will,
are saying.
yeah, people are trying to see it as a child, how we use it, how we train it. It's gonna reflect to us. But I think if you don't use AI, AI will use you. It's like similar thing with computer. Is like, and I remember Prince is one of my greatest artists. He said like, don't be fooled by the internet. You know, you can get on computer, but don't let computer get on to you. And in this case with AI, AI is either gonna take a lot of jobs that we do,
Yeah.
if we don't implement them, and there's like a huge rush, there's like a lot of greed that people are trying to get into. And there's also beautiful thing with AI, especially in the health and the businesses that I've been involved in for many, many years in machine learning, in deep reinforcement learning with AI now. It's a lot to do with supporting people on their inner growth or setting that foundation, and then growing through different ways of using AI for novel technologies, for sustainability, for health especially,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
financial freedom,
Yeah.
and
Let's
things
go.
like that.
Which, the audience would like some financial freedom up in this bitch. I know you guys want it.
Yeah.
I want to go into some quick advice about money and finances. I think that would be a cool way to, because you've talked to a lot of rich people, you've experienced different businesses, you've had your ups and downs for sure. Obviously, especially how long you've been an entrepreneur for?
Over 20 years
Over
now,
20
yeah.
years. So there you go. So like definitely some ups and downs and tons of lessons. For a man who has not made that switch yet to like full-time entrepreneur and has still a 9 to 5, maybe some side hustle income, or they're just kind of starting in their first couple years and they want to go to like actually where they can have more freedom and not be always like, in that grind phase and actually have some lifestyle and some freedom, which is why everyone wants to become an entrepreneur, but they don't realize you gotta work for it. So what advice would you give to someone at that stage of business, like still kind of in the infancy stage of building their empire, their business?
I'm just going to start with this. If you
Okay.
don't build your dreams, someone else will hire you to build their dreams. And then now we live in the age where it's so easy and fast and inexpensive
Yes.
to build an online business, to build an
crazy.
e-commerce, to do whatever. It's like there's so many things.
Oh.
There's so many inspiring things that people are sharing as well.
Yeah.
How to do that.
Yeah.
So you can easily make money. I think money is not going to be a case anymore in the future, 10 years from now maybe.
Okay.
It's going to be a different value of what we have as as an income, and what we, because of AI and shifts with money, with cryptocurrency, and what's happening with the world, it's going to bring us to something completely different. That's my assumption.
So you don't think that we're going to be using money in the same way, or you think we're not going to have dollars anymore? What do you mean in 5 to 10
Well,
years?
it's going to be a different way of exchanging value, I think.
Oh, okay,
but we're
okay.
going to have, I think, less poverty and more like universal income and things that we can just
think so?
live off. Yeah, because most of the people live their lives. It's kind of interesting. There's this saying like people go to the job they don't love to make money to buy things they don't need.
Yeah. Yeah.
To go to the places that they don't have to be at. And it's like
To impress people that they don't even really like. or
yeah, and
whatever.
then they live this life to buy the house and they pay off mortgage, and then at the end they burn out and their health suffers, so they invest a lot of that money to kind of heal themselves.
Yes.
And then these younger generations now are seeing this more conscious because there's a lot of data. I was born
Yes.
without internet, running on
Right.
on the grass and then things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just on the verge of those generations where now they're like really valuing the traveling, really valuing what they want. They
Yes.
fulfill their dreams.
Yeah.
And I have my good friend Simon Squid, who's mega popular on TikTok, and he's like going around and asking people, it's like, what's your dream?
Yeah.
And thing is, some people never ask that question in the
Yes.
first place,
Yeah.
right? So what you said, like in your 3-step program,
Yes.
awareness is so important.
Oh, yeah.
It's like being aware of what you actually want, and finding the ways to find what it is.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
because we're so programmed in this
And
society.
sometimes what you think you want, sorry to interrupt, but what you think you want sometimes isn't actually what you want.
Someone
it's what you've been
else's dream,
programmed
right.
to want.
Yeah.
Like even some guys that say, I want to be rich. Like oftentimes, as awesome of a goal as that is, oftentimes it's driven by, I need to be rich so that I'm lovable, which I don't
Yeah.
think is actually a good foundation for a goal.
You
Although
just want
it can
to
drive you.
be lovable, or
You just want to be
wanna
lovable.
love.
So
Yeah,
why not go
that's
straight
it.
to the source and learn how to, do internal family systems and remember that you already are lovable.
There is this big society dream that, Toltecs in Mexico used to call mitote, which is
Mitote.
which is collective consciousness, that's basically we are what other people think we are.
Right.
So it's like
Right.
We want to fit in the image. We want to be someone. Well,
Yes.
guess what? You don't have to be somebody or someone.
Yes.
It's just important to reach your goal. And for me, my goal is to reach the freedom, enlightenment, and to
Yeah.
be in those states. And then
Yeah.
we can be together with other people in communities with the same thing, and then create from that state, innovate from that state,
Oh.
and create like a new world, new earth that's more sustainable, more loving, and more kind of open to conversations.
Yes.
And so those inner critics and parts are
Yes.
like soft and
Not
and
running the
mind
show
is
anymore.
Yeah, not running the
Not
show.
leading us anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. And by the way, out of everybody I know, and I know, I guess a somewhat significant amount of people, you are definitely the most enlightened. Yeah.
Thank
For
you.
real. And I really like that about you. You have a great energy to be around. Your
Amazing,
presence
thanks.
is great.
Thanks.
And I'm just pumped up for your next like 40 to 80 years, just to like see how enlightened you can get, And yeah, so I'm excited for you. And I'm saying this kind of as a closeout because this has been super valuable, I know, for everybody watching. And if you didn't get anything from this, like you were not listening, you were not paying attention, because there were so many gems in this. I can't wait to look at it and take some short forms from it later. But yeah, thank you very much for coming. And I want to ask to close out a couple things. One, is there anywhere people can find you to connect with you and what you do, and they're vibing with you like, I want the next thing? And then secondly, what would be a message that you'd like to leave the audience with?
Well, thank you first of all for having me in the podcast. Thank you everybody for watching, listening to this. If you want to find me, I am Prem Sangeet.
We'll have it
It's-
linked below in the video as well.
Yeah, so anywhere I am Prem Sangeet. Very easy
Yes.
to find
Yes.
on social and everywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And these messages always find me like, I should say something really important.
I just gave you the enlightened compliment. Now they're expecting a Buddhist quote or something.
I just be. I stop doing and just be. Yeah, it's like what Ramdas said, is like be here and now. It's like there's so much here and now, and I've been living by that for most of my life, and it's beautiful. A lot of opportunities happens, a lot of people come to you where
Yes.
we're just being. We're not like doing a lot. Like in Taoism, there is this saying like, true master does nothing,
Yes.
but leaves nothing undone.
Yes.
And even I like all these indigenous cultures, and I learn from many. I'm very passionate about Andean cosmology as well.
Cool.
And they believe in this co-creation with life, where we allow life to happen, and we just observe it and then co-create with it. And it's
Yes.
beautiful to co-create with that, to create art,
Yes.
create innovation and
Yes.
things. It's really amazing. Sometimes hard to let go, but we kind of keep trying, and we are allowing that to happen. So that's my message for me and for everybody.
That's beautiful. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. And thank you to the viewer watching this. We appreciate your time and attention. We've got lots of stuff coming up. If you want to connect with Prem, click the link below. I got daily vlogs coming out every day this year. You guys will be watching them. And join us next week for the next podcast episode. We're going to have more amazing guests like this man right here. And so I can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much. Peace,
Amazing
everybody.
host, and thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.